Welcome back to our chilling series exploring the haunted corners of America, where history and horror intertwine in ways that defy explanation. In this sixth episode of Most Haunted Lighthouses on the West Coast, we delve deeper into the shadowy shores and rugged cliffs where towering sentinels of light stand guard against the relentless tide. These lighthouses, perched precariously along the Pacific coastline, are more than just navigational aids. They are witnesses to centuries of maritime tragedy, isolation, and untold secrets. Beneath their weathered exteriors lie tales of ghostly apparitions, unexplained phenomena, and spirits bound to their posts long after their mortal duties ended. Lighthouses have always held a special place in the human imagination. They symbolize hope, safety, and guidance for sailors navigating treacherous waters. Yet, they also embody solitude and sacrifice, as keepers endured harsh conditions and endless nights far from civilization. It is this duality, of light versus darkness, life versus death, that makes them fertile ground for supernatural lore. From eerie whispers carried by ocean winds to phantom figures seen pacing watchtowers, these haunted lighthouses beckon us to step closer, daring us to uncover the mysteries hidden within their walls. In this episode, we'll journey to some of the most infamous haunted lighthouses along the West Coast, places steeped in legend and fear, where the past refuses to stay buried. We'll peer into the shadowy depths of lantern rooms dimmed by time, explore eerie basements where storms rage endlessly, and tread cautiously through keepers' quarters teeming with restless spirits. Along the way, we'll hear first-hand accounts from witnesses brave enough to confront the unknown, examine chilling evidence captured by paranormal investigators, and unravel the tragic histories that give rise to these hauntings. So dim the lights, keep your ears sharp, and prepare yourself for a descent into the macabre. As we step into the haunted heart of these coastal beacons, remember, sometimes, the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil, and once you cross it, there's no turning back. Point Sur Lighthouse, the phantom keeper perched atop a jagged volcanic rock jutting out of the Pacific Ocean near Big Sur, California. Point Sur Lighthouse stands as one of the most isolated and enigmatic structures on the West Coast. Built in 1889, this majestic beacon has guided countless ships through the treacherous waters of Monterey Bay, but its remote location and tumultuous history have earned it a reputation as one of the most haunted lighthouses in America. Accessible only via a winding, narrow road carved into the cliffs, the lighthouse feels like an island unto itself, a place where time slows and the boundary between worlds blurs. One of the most enduring legends tied to Point Sur revolves around the ghost of Captain Howard, a former assistant lighthouse keeper who met a tragic end in the early 20th century. Historical records indicate that Captain Howard fell victim to a violent storm while attempting to secure the station's boats. Swept away by crashing waves, his body was never recovered, leaving behind a legacy of sorrow that continues to haunt visitors today. Guests exploring the lighthouse report hearing faint footsteps echoing through the halls, accompanied by the sound of heavy boots splashing through puddles, even when the floors are dry. Some claim to see a figure clad in oilskin rain gear standing silently at the edge of the cliffs, gazing out at the churning sea below, before vanishing without a trace. Another prominent figure in the lighthouse's haunted lore is believed to be Mary Ann, the wife of a head keeper who lived on site during the 1930s. Described as kind-hearted but deeply troubled, Mary Ann struggled with the isolation and harsh conditions of life at Point Sur. Her mental health deteriorated over time, culminating in her tragic decision to take her own life inside the keeper's quarters. Since then, visitors staying overnight have reported strange occurrences: lights flickering unpredictably, doors slamming shut on their own, and the overwhelming scent of lavender lingering in the air, Mary Ann's favorite fragrance. Some claim to wake up in the middle of the night to find their bedsheets tangled impossibly tight around their limbs, as if restrained by invisible hands. The lighthouse's basement, once used for storage and maintenance operations, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with cleaning the area often describe hearing muffled voices and the sound of footsteps echoing through the cavernous space, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a tour guide who swore he felt cold metal cuffs snap around his wrists, pulling him backward toward the darkness before releasing him abruptly. Theories abound that the basement harbors residual energy from countless storms and accidents that occurred during the lighthouse's operational years. Modern-day investigations into Point Sur's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the lantern room and the keeper's quarters. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique equipment believed to have been used by the original keepers. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "Help me," and "I can't leave." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, Point Sur continues to draw thrill seekers and history buffs alike. For those brave enough to tour the facility, the opportunity to encounter its spectral inhabitants adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its architectural grandeur or the weight of its tragic legacy, Point Sur promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. Heceta Head Lighthouse, the Lady in White, nestled amidst the lush forests and dramatic cliffs of Florence, Oregon. Heceta Head Lighthouse stands as one of the most iconic and haunting landmarks on the West Coast. Built in 1894, this picturesque structure has guided mariners safely through the perilous waters of Cape Perpetua for over a century. Its striking white facade and sweeping views of the Pacific make it a popular destination for tourists and photographers alike. Yet beneath its serene exterior lies a darker narrative, one marked by tragedy, loss, and the presence of a mysterious figure known only as the Lady in White. One of the most pervasive legends tied to Heceta Head involves the ghost of Rue, a woman believed to have been the daughter-in-law of one of the original lighthouse keepers. According to local lore, Rue lived in the keeper's house during the early 1900s, where she cared for her young child while enduring the hardships of lighthouse life. Tragedy struck when her infant fell ill and died under mysterious circumstances, leaving Rue devastated. Overwhelmed by grief, she is said to have taken her own life shortly thereafter. Visitors exploring the keeper's house report seeing a translucent figure dressed in flowing white garments gliding silently through the halls, her expression frozen in eternal anguish. Others describe feeling an icy draft pass through them, as though Rue's spirit lingers, unable to find peace. Another prominent aspect of Heceta Head's haunted lore centers around the sounds of crying babies heard throughout the property. Paranormal investigators exploring the site have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a childlike voice whispering phrases like, "Mommy," and "I'm scared." Witnesses describe hearing faint sobs emanating from empty rooms, accompanied by the sound of tiny footsteps pattering across wooden floors. Some speculate that the cries belong to Rue's deceased infant, forever tethered to the lighthouse alongside its mother. The lighthouse itself has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with maintaining the lantern room often describe hearing muffled voices and the sound of footsteps echoing through the space, though no one else is present. Lights are known to flicker unpredictably, even when disconnected from power sources. One particularly unnerving incident involved a maintenance worker who swore he saw a pale face staring back at him from the reflection of the Fresnel lens, its eyes hollow and lifeless. Theories abound that the lighthouse harbors residual energy from countless nights spent guiding lost ships to safety, leaving behind the imprints of both keepers and sailors who never made it home. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, Heceta Head continues to draw thrill seekers and romantics alike. For those brave enough to spend the night in the keeper's house, now operated as a bed and breakfast, the opportunity to encounter Rue or one of the countless other spirits said to roam its halls adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its breathtaking scenery or the weight of its tragic legacy, Heceta Head promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. Tillamook Rock Lighthouse, the ghost ship of terrible Tilly off the rugged coast of Oregon, battered by relentless waves and howling winds, sits Tillamook Rock Lighthouse, a solitary sentinel that has earned its nickname, Terrible Tilly, through decades of hardship and haunting. Completed in 1881, This offshore beacon was carved directly into the basalt rock of Tillamook Head, making it one of the most challenging lighthouses ever constructed. Its remote location and exposure to ferocious storms rendered it nearly uninhabitable, yet dedicated keepers manned its posts for nearly 70 years until automation took over in 1957. Today, abandoned and crumbling, Tillamook Rock stands as a monument to resilience and tragedy. One of the most harrowing legends tied to Tillamook Rock involves the wreck of the MV Lapatia, a British bark that sank just offshore in 1909. On New Year's Eve, the ship ran aground during a fierce storm, killing all 16 crew members except for one survivor found clinging to the rocks. Local lore suggests that the spirits of the drowned sailors remain tethered to the lighthouse, seeking solace or revenge. Visitors boating nearby report hearing faint cries for help carried by the wind, accompanied by the sound of splashing water. Some claim to see ghostly figures struggling in the surf, their faces obscured by shadows, before vanishing without explanation. Another prominent figure in Tillamook Rock's haunted lore is believed to be James A. Gibbs, a former keeper whose tenure was plagued by misfortune. Historical records indicate that Gibbs endured numerous accidents and illnesses while stationed at the lighthouse, leading him to believe the site was cursed. His journals, filled with cryptic entries about voices in the dark and shapes in the fog, paint a chilling picture of his declining mental state. Paranormal investigators exploring the ruins have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a male entity whispering phrases like, "Leave me alone," and "It's too late." Witnesses describe seeing a shadowy figure pacing anxiously near windows, clutching what appears to be a lantern before vanishing without a trace. The lighthouse's interior, now decaying and inaccessible to the public, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Urban explorers who managed to infiltrate the structure describe hearing muffled voices and the sound of footsteps echoing through the empty halls, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a photographer who swore he saw a group of shadowy figures huddled together in the corner of the room, their faces gaunt and hollow. Theories abound that the interior harbors residual energy from countless accidents and drownings that occurred during the lighthouse's operational years. Modern-day investigations into Tillamook Rock's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the lantern room and the keeper's quarters. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique equipment believed to have been used by the original keepers. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "Help us," and "We're still here." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, Tillamook Rock continues to draw thrill-seekers and maritime enthusiasts alike. For those brave enough to approach the site, the opportunity to encounter its spectral inhabitants adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its architectural decay or the weight of its tragic legacy, Tillamook Rock promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. Pigeon Point Lighthouse, whispers of the lost perched on a windswept bluff overlooking the Pacific Ocean near Pescadero, California. Pigeon Point Lighthouse stands as a testament to both beauty and despair. Built in 1871, this towering beacon has guided countless vessels through the treacherous waters of the San Mateo County coastline, earning its place as one of the tallest lighthouses on the West Coast. Yet beneath its majestic silhouette lies a darker history, one marked by shipwrecks, disappearances, and the lingering presence of those who never reached shore. One of the most enduring legends tied to Pigeon Point involves the ghost of Emily, a young woman who drowned off the coast in the late 19th century. According to local lore, Emily was traveling aboard a passenger ship that collided with a reef during a violent storm. Her body washed ashore days later, but her spirit is said to remain trapped between worlds. Visitors exploring the lighthouse grounds report seeing a translucent figure wandering along the cliffs, her hair soaked and her dress clinging to her form. Others describe hearing faint sobbing carried by the wind, accompanied by the splash of water rippling against the rocks. Some claim to feel an icy touch brush against their skin, as though Emily's ghost reaches out for help. Another prominent aspect of Pigeon Point's haunted lore centers around the keeper's quarters, where strange phenomena have been reported for decades. Employees tasked with maintaining the property often describe hearing muffled voices and the sound of footsteps echoing through the halls, though no one else is present. Lights flicker unpredictably, and objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a tour guide who swore he saw a young boy playing with marbles in the corner of the room, only for the child to disappear when approached. Theories abound that the boy may have been a victim of illness or accident during the lighthouse's operational years, forever trapped in the confines of its upper levels. The lighthouse's lantern room, perched high above the cliffs, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Paranormal investigators exploring the site have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of multiple entities whispering phrases like, "Stay away," and "Don't look down." Witnesses describe seeing shadowy figures pacing anxiously near windows, their movements jerky and unnatural. Some speculate that these spirits belong to sailors who perished in shipwrecks, their souls bound to the beacon that failed to save them. Modern-day investigations into Pigeon Point's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the lantern room and the keeper's quarters. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique equipment believed to have been used by the original keepers. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from video footage captured by motion-activated cameras, showing shadowy figures moving through the halls and disappearing into thin air. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, Pigeon Point continues to draw thrill-seekers and history buffs alike. For those brave enough to tour the facility, the opportunity to encounter its spectral inhabitants adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its architectural grandeur or the weight of its tragic legacy, Pigeon Point promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. Patterns across haunted lighthouses, themes of isolation and resilience as we traverse the haunted landscapes of the West Coast's most notorious lighthouses. From the jagged cliffs of Point Sur to the storm-battered rocks of Tillamook, we uncover striking similarities that transcend individual locations and histories. These patterns are not merely coincidental but reflect universal themes of human emotion, unresolved trauma, and the enduring power of memory. From the wailing winds that sweep across desolate shores to the shadowed basements of keepers' quarters, these sites share a commonality that binds them together in a spectral sisterhood of sorrow and suspense. One recurring motif is the concept of unfinished business. Whether it's the victims of shipwrecks or the betrayed trust of isolated keepers, these spirits seem tethered to the earthly realm by grievances left unaddressed. Their presence manifests as restless energy, often communicated through auditory phenomena, cries, whispers, or disembodied voices, that serve as pleas for acknowledgement or closure. This theme resonates across cultures and belief systems, reflecting humanity's innate need to resolve conflict and seek peace, even in death. Another shared characteristic is the role of architecture in amplifying paranormal activity. Historic lighthouses, with their labyrinthine corridors, thick walls, and hidden alcoves, create environments conducive to isolating individuals and heightening fear. These structural elements act as metaphors for the psychological barriers erected by those who suffered within their confines, trapping emotions such as anger, despair, and regret. It's no coincidence that many reported hauntings occur in spaces imbued with emotional significance: lantern rooms where keepers stood vigil, basements where storms raged endlessly, or quarters where families endured unbearable losses. Lighting and sensory manipulation also feature prominently in these narratives. Flickering lights, sudden temperature drops, and inexplicable odors are staples of ghostly encounters, designed to disorient and unsettle. Such phenomena strip away the comfort of familiarity, forcing guests to confront the unknown. The use of mirrors, a recurring element in stories from various haunted lighthouses, adds another layer of psychological tension, as reflections distort perception and blur the boundary between self and other. This interplay of light and shadow becomes a tool wielded by unseen forces, creating moments of visceral terror that linger long after the initial shock subsides. Finally, the prevalence of historical context cannot be overstated. Each lighthouse's haunting is deeply rooted in its unique past, shaped by the socio-cultural milieu of its time. The brutal maritime tragedies embedded in the DNA of older establishments contrast sharply with the glamorous yet tragic lives immortalized in urban legends. Yet both narratives tap into broader archetypes of ambition, betrayal, and mortality, ensuring their resonance with audiences regardless of personal experience. By drawing on these universal motifs, these haunted places transform from mere buildings into living repositories of collective memory, inviting us to peer into the abyss of our shared humanity. Thus, while each establishment boasts its own distinct flavor of fright, the underlying threads connecting them reveal a tapestry rich with meaning. These patterns remind us that the supernatural is not so much about the entities themselves but the stories they tell, the echoes of lives interrupted, passions extinguished, and truths obscured. As we continue to explore these haunted locales, we find ourselves grappling not only with the specters of the past but with the timeless questions they raise about life, death, and everything in between. The psychology of fear. Why haunted lighthouses captivate us? What is it about haunted lighthouses that grips our imaginations so profoundly? Beyond the creaking floorboards and flickering lights lies a deeper allure, one rooted in the psychology of fear and the human fascination with the unknown. These sites, by their very nature, are places of vulnerability. They are where we confront our mortality, stripped of autonomy and control, relying entirely on the expertise of others to heal us, or failing that, to ease our passing. When these spaces become haunted, they amplify our primal fears, transforming familiar settings into arenas of existential dread. The combination of historical context, architectural design, and the lingering presence of past suffering creates a perfect storm of terror that resonates deeply within us. At the core of this captivation is the concept of liminality, the state of being on the threshold between two worlds. Haunted lighthouses exist in this liminal space, bridging land and sea, life and death, hope and despair. This inherent duality makes them fertile ground for supernatural narratives. Ghosts, as manifestations of unresolved trauma or unfinished business, embody the tension of being caught between states. They serve as reminders that the boundaries we construct, between life and afterlife, sanity and madness, are far more permeable than we'd like to believe. For many, visiting a haunted site feels like stepping into a twilight zone where the rules of reality no longer apply, igniting both curiosity and unease. Architecturally, haunted lighthouses contribute to this atmosphere of dread through their design. Narrow staircases spiraling upward, isolated keepers' quarters, and exposed positions atop rocky cliffs evoke feelings of entrapment and uncertainty. Every corner becomes a potential threat, every shadow a possible harbinger of danger. The howling winds and crashing waves outside add another layer of sensory overload, mimicking the psychological effects of anxiety and claustrophobia. This environmental manipulation taps into our instinctual fight-or-flight response, keeping us perpetually on edge. Cultural influences also play a significant role in shaping our fascination with haunted lighthouses. Media representations, from films like The Lighthouse to literature such as Edgar Allan Poe's The Lighthouse, have cemented the trope of the haunted beacon as a locus of horror. These portrayals often blend historical truths with fictional embellishments, creating a mythology that blurs fact and fiction. Audiences are drawn to these stories because they reflect societal anxieties about isolation, duty, and the fragility of human connection. Haunted lighthouses become microcosms of larger fears: the loss of agency, the weight of responsibility, and the haunting specter of mistakes made in the name of progress. Moreover, haunted lighthouses appeal to our desire for catharsis. Engaging with these tales allows us to process our own fears about mortality, injustice, and the flaws inherent in systems meant to protect us. By confronting ghostly apparitions and unexplained phenomena, we externalize internal anxieties, transforming abstract fears into tangible adversaries. This vicarious experience provides a safe outlet for exploring the darker aspects of human existence, offering both thrill and relief. It's no wonder that ghost tours and paranormal investigations of haunted lighthouses attract participants eager to test their courage against the unknown. Ultimately, the enduring allure of haunted lighthouses lies in their ability to mirror our deepest fears while challenging our understanding of reality. They remind us that the past is never truly buried, that pain and injustice leave indelible marks on both people and places. As we walk their haunted halls, we are forced to confront not only the spirits said to inhabit them but also the ghosts within ourselves, the regrets, doubts, and unanswered questions that linger long after the wounds have healed. In doing so, we find a strange comfort in knowing that we are not alone in our fears, that others have walked these same paths and emerged, shaken but alive, to tell their stories. As we bring this chilling journey through the haunted lighthouses of the West Coast to a close, one thing becomes abundantly clear: the spirits of the past refuse to be silenced. Each creaking floorboard, each whispered name, and each fleeting shadow serves as a testament to lives lived, lost, and lingering in the spaces we dare to call haunted. These stories are more than mere campfire tales. They are fragments of history, stitched together by human emotion, tragedy, and the relentless passage of time. They remind us that the line between the living and the dead is far thinner than we might believe, and that sometimes the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil. But why stop here? If these accounts have stirred something within you, a spark of curiosity, a shiver of excitement, I urge you to take the next step. Visit one of the haunted lighthouses along the West Coast yourself. Walk the same halls where spirits are said to roam, stand in the rooms where history's echoes reverberate, and let the unknown brush against your senses. Whether you're a skeptic seeking proof or a believer eager to commune with the other side, these forsaken beacons offer an unparalleled opportunity to confront the mysteries that lie just beyond comprehension. There's nothing quite like experiencing the weight of decades-old despair firsthand, feeling the chill of a presence that defies explanation, or hearing the faint strains of voices from another time. And when you return, share your story. Did you feel the icy touch of a ghostly hand? Hear the faint tap of footsteps in an empty corridor? Or perhaps nothing happened at all, but isn't that silence just as intriguing? Your experiences add to the rich tapestry of lore surrounding these haunted places, ensuring their legacies endure for generations to come. Share your findings with fellow enthusiasts, document your journey, and keep the conversation alive. After all, every whisper contributes to the symphony of the supernatural. Until then, keep your lanterns lit and your courage steady. The spirits are waiting.